Hey guys, this is Sean McGarry coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the music slam where great things happen. Hope everyone's doing awesome out there. Got a fun little lesson today. I'm going to talk about mixing major and minor sounds together, which is kind of the heart of rock and roll and blues. And you know, you hear all the greats from Eric Clapton to fill in the blank do it exquisitely. You know, when they mix that sound, it's like you just really hear it. So let's talk about that today, and we'll jump into it here real quickly. If you haven't done so yet, please check out my Patreon page. I have a link below. A lot of people have been asking about that, but the link is below. And then also please hit that like and subscribe button. It's helping me out a bunch, and feel free to leave comments. And let's dive into it. So jamming over a little chord progression here. Right, so just kind of a G, like pretty rock and roll. And there's a couple things we'll talk about in here as we go. But like the first sound, we could think, you know, to me that sounds a little more majory than minory, right? So if I was going like, you know, that would sound, of course, minory right off the bat. Minory. That's a new word I invented today. But anyway, so let's look at some of these boxes, how we want to go about this. So if I'm playing that rhythm again, oh sorry, right? Well, there's my G. I'm up here thinking about this major pentatonic. So if I start right here on the 5th fret D, which is a G note, you know, that some people call it the B.B. King box, whatever, but it's right out of that major pentatonic. Now, a couple points of interest here. When I do that lick, look at that. There's my resolve, there's G, and there's my G triad, or G7. So if I go, oh, sorry, right to G. And also, there's a G. So you want to see these outline chords in there. So when I do that lick, I want to be able to outline those chords. Right, so all those ideas, all from chords. Look at this. G, G, C, C, G. We'll talk about that later, but mainly the two G's, right? So I'm starting off major there, maybe like, that's kind of a B.B. King riff, right? So all that right there is major sounding. But I want you to see this surrounding chord. Okay, this is really important. So there's my root there. There's my root there. You want to always know where your target notes are. So you know your safe zone over this is your G. Right? Notice how every little riff is resolving on one of those G notes. Okay. Still resolving on that. Here's a great little lick. I use this one a lot. I've stole years ago from somebody. Kind of bluesy B.B. King, but this right here. There's a million variations of this, but I'm sliding up to the G. You can bend that note, the A note. This is all major still. We'll get to the minor in a minute. But this stuff, just those little chromatic movements, but still resolving on that G. Okay, so maybe we start off with that. I'm going to put this little loop here. Now watch this. Well, I went down Mixolydian. Now the reason we can play, you can always play that dominant 7 sound, but especially over this because there's an F in this chord progression. If you look at what a Mixolydian is, it's a flat 7. I don't want to get to a bunch of theory here, but it's a little bit necessary. So if I'm playing like the pentatonic, well, that note's already in there, the F. But if you look at it from a chord perspective, or the scale, you flat the 7 and it gives it that. So if you're approaching it from a major sound, then you got, what that is, that's a G7 arpeggio. Now I know this I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff. This may be a little bit all over the place, so bear with me here. But these ideas are really important, okay? So we're starting off major, these kind of B.B. King, Eric Clapton riffs. And then I want to do something Mixolydian, which is... Here's a great lick. And again, look at this chord. There's a triad, D-shaped triad. Look at that. You're just going. So this, but I've got the F in there, so I'm going. I'm not going. That's too major, too major, I guess, even though this is a major sound, but I'm going, it's more of a dominant sound. I'm not doing that. I'm going to that F. Okay, so one more time. Look at that. You can think of it, the D sus shape, but I'm just outlining it as a lick. And where's my resolve? Right there. Now, another cool little thing I did here is I did that minor third, major third, resolve. So all together. So first couple ideas, the kind of the BB box. Chromatic. Resolving on G. Now, that little climb down, Mixolydian. Minor, major third. All right, so I'm throwing a bunch of stuff out there. We'll see what sticks, but check it out. Okay. Now that's all pretty major sound and stuff, pretty happy. But let's throw some minor in. So now... Now I'm going to this box of the pentatonic. So if this is my G minor right here, there's your octave. Hoping you guys know this stuff, but like here I'm starting on the root G. And this is something we could talk about right now for a while, but I'm not. But I will mention it, because a lot of people get stuck, including myself, in that box. But here's an easy way out of that box. Right? When you go up, you're playing your minor pentatonic. You don't even have to know the names of the notes. Check this out. You just have to know this. You got to be able to count. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When you get to the 6th note of your minor pentatonic, root off the E string. Look, do this. Look at that. I'm at the 5th fret. Now here's your new pattern. So just start playing around in that box. Now I'm mixing it up. Look, minor. There's your blues note. Back down to minor third, major third. Okay, so, I'm just throwing out these terms, but really it's just about using your ear and the sound. Of course, I'm not going to say, don't worry about knowing this stuff. Of course, you want to know all these things, but you got to start with the sound. If you can't hear it and kind of differentiate from that major minor, it's the theory behind it's not as important. It's just the sound. So anyway, so now we got this kind of thing where, we're playing in this box up here. So just start practicing this. Check this out. This is kind of cool. minor, major, minor, major, minor, major. Okay, so you can see we're mixing it up. We're mixing that major and minor, okay? That's a great little exercise. I show this to people all the time. Just start with that little lick. Look, you're just, because you're going from a minor box to major box up one position. But the key to this is I'm resolving on that G note. I'm resolving on a G note from that. So look here. There's my G. Now look. Still resolving on that same note, but from a different position. Let me do it one more time over this. Now, of course, you're going to want to get out of that, but that's how you start. Just kind of getting that sound, right? Now, the other thing I want to touch upon to really throw all this into the mix here is these arpeggios, this, you know. So if you don't know this, let me show it to you real quick because it's kind of cool to play over this. I am playing a G dominant 7 arpeggio, which looks like this. 3, 2, 5, 3, 5. Now check this out. You know, sounds like an exercise, but that's how that sounds over there, right? But you want to mix that in with, you know, then throw a little minor lick in there. So here's the arpeggio. Again. Instantly going to that minor pentatonic. So that's one octave of this. Check it out. Now here's another octave. This is pretty user-friendly. He's outlining this little stair-stepping F shape. So there's the note in question. There's that F, which is your flat 7, which just gives it that kind of that sound. And the cool thing about that is that note is already in the minor pentatonic. You might be saying, well, I don't understand, because if it's already in there, why are you even talking about that? Because, I'm glad you asked, what makes it different is because we add this note in, the major third of G. So when you put these two guys together, listen. There's the major third of G, there's the flat 7. So those two notes, when joining forces, are what's going to give you that, you know. That sound right there. So folks, that's a fun little idea as far as ideas of how, you know, how to mix major and minor. Just those two little ideas. You're just going from these boxes. You know, some might call it the BB King box. Some might call it position 2. The pentatonic box. You know, that's what I call it. But I would suggest just playing around, man. Loop something like I did. But start with these little ideas of just going from. You can hear that last one was different, right? So if I go. That one stood out because you're now going to that major. Right? You just got to get underneath the hood with this stuff, man, and you just got to start playing around with it. and I promise you'll get it. So, hey, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you're getting something out of these lessons. Definitely helps me out, and we will see you next lesson. Thank you.